Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Monday and happy Veterans Day. I really appreciate all of you who have served in the United States Armed Forces, and shout out to all of you. Really appreciate all of your work serving your country, and to all the families of veterans as well. Those that are still alive, those that have fallen. And today's your day, and I hope you guys had a good one. Now, on to Michigan news. I got some information by doing some research earlier tonight that leads me to believe that there will likely be 4 gun control bills in Michigan that are on the agenda, are going to be voted on, and probably most likely will pass, unless, of course, enough of us can get together, get a hold of these legislators, and let them know that we already had an election and that Michigan does not want this kind of crap. So we're going to go over these 4 items. Also, I'm going to talk a little bit about the whole Senate majority election for the United States Senate. Yeah, Mitch McConnell pulled a fast one, put we the people in a crappy situation. I know that's been making a lot of news. I shared a community post on it yesterday, and yeah, I don't have a good opinion on any of the 3 that have been mentioned, by the way, so we'll get into that in just a couple minutes here. But before we do, I want to thank all of you for the many ways you help support this channel. Thank you to all my YouTube channel members, where you get extra emojis and access to extra content. Also, thanks for all of you who support on Patreon. Same deal, extra bonus content for all of you. And my Locals community. Locals is a different site, censorship free. You can actually join completely free, or it's a place where you can support for more perks. And I do a bonus live stream there every Saturday night on Locals. And then that other site, we'll call it the Big Green Meanie site that YouTube doesn't like so much. It rhymes with fumble. The link to those are all down in the description. We had a blast last Saturday. We can touch and show guns and talk about all kinds of stuff that we just can't do here on YouTube. So make sure you guys are following me on these censorship-free platforms like Myriad Social as well, which is censorship-free, decentralized on the blockchain, as well as X. So I appreciate all of you guys being here on YouTube, but please follow me on the other censorship-free formats, and the links are down there in the description. So yeah, I did some research, and I figured out that in the lame duck session, it's called, of the Michigan House of Representatives. Now, this is then going to go to the Senate and then to the governor. We know she'll sign any type of gun control that comes in front of her desk, plus even more than that. It's ridiculous how they want to ruin this state. So we just had an election, and the Republicans in Michigan did take the House of Representatives back. Trump won Michigan. Trump won the United States presidential election. He's the president-elect. And we have a conservative mandate now from the American people throughout this whole country and the state of Michigan. Trump wins the popular vote, wins the Electoral College. Michigan takes back the House of Representatives. Would have taken back the Senate too, but keep in mind, the Senate wasn't up for election this time. A lot of people ask me what happened with the Senate. Well, pay attention to your ballots, and you'd see that you didn't vote for any Michigan senators, although you did vote in a United States Senate race this time. So there's 4 bills here, and they're trying to cram this through what's called the lame duck session. So the Democrat majority is on its way out. We're not going to have Speaker Tate here in a couple months. It's going to be Speaker Matt Hall, former minority leader, which, by the way, he voted for gun control too. We have to call a spade a spade. But in a lame duck, look, they can legally do whatever, and they're going to cram all kinds of woke stuff down our throats. It's not just gun control. I'm going to get to the gun control in just a minute, okay? But they're passing tons of crazy woke stuff that reminds me of that Supreme Court justice and all of that. All right. So there's several bills. One of these, a lot of people think actually passed in the last session. And we're only 4 minutes in, just giving you guys a chance to get the alerts. And yeah, whether anyone likes it or not, actually. If anybody wants to leave comments afterwards, or this guy in the chat here right now, and just leave and don't come back. If you can do a better job, do a better job. But I'm going to say hi to my viewers, and I'm going to thank my supporters. Because here's the thing. None of my supporters are saying, get to the point, blah, blah, blah. No, it's just these freeloading idiots. And you guys don't really keep this channel going at all, actually. So anybody who has an issue with how quick I get to the point, this is a live stream. And I'm probably the only person in the state of Michigan with this information right now. And I'm actually getting to it as we speak. So this first one is a substitute, and it's like the third substitute for Michigan House Bill 4127. Did a video on it in 2023. Did a video on it again earlier this year. This is going to concern banning guns near polling places, polling stations where they count votes, all of these, like tons of places all over. Now, it passed the Michigan House of Representatives like last year. Then it went to the Senate, where it ran into a technicality issue. They adopted what's called a substitute for the bill. Just so you guys know how this works, you can take a whole bill's title and change everything that's in it, and then call it a substitute, and then it comes back. You know what I'm saying? This stuff's really deep and complicated. I could actually talk 4 hours just on how all this stuff works behind the scenes, how it's a dog and pony show, how there's bait and switch, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to get into what's up for vote this week in Michigan, on the calendar, on the agenda, and I've already called my state rep to encourage her to vote no on all of these. So people think this actually passed, but it didn't pass the Senate. It's had two different substitutes. It's gone back and forth between the House and Senate several times. They're trying to cram it through during what's called the lame duck session. The Democrats are on their way out right now. People don't want the Democrats running it anymore. However, the Democrats are going to try to ruin the state as much as they can, and it's not good etiquette, and it's not good practice for them to be doing this. So we're looking at substitute, and again, this is like the third substitute for House Bill 4127. The people of the state of Michigan enact, except, as provided in subsection 2, a person shall not possess a firearm on the premise of any of the following. Okay, these are going to be for just any person as of right now. A depository financial institution, or a subsidiary or affiliate of a depository financial institution. B, a church or other house of religious worship, a court, a theater, a sports arena, a daycare center, a hospital, an establishment licensed under the Michigan Liquor Control Code of 1998. See, I have to kind of pause when I read these because they cross stuff out, and they literally change a lot of this stuff. Now, this does not apply to any of the following. A person who owns or is employed by or contracted by an entity described in subsection 1 if the possession of that firearm is to provide security services for that entity. B, a peace officer. C, a person licensed by this state or another state to carry a concealed weapon. So this gets complicated, and I'm going to read 4128 in a minute, where they're going to come in and go after CPL holders on a lot of this too. So if you guys were wondering what some of this means, like, okay, an establishment licensed under the Michigan Liquor Control. See, a lot of people don't know this, but Walmart's got a liquor license. Technically, legally, and it's been this way a long time in Michigan. This is nothing new what I'm about to say. You can't conceal carry without a CPL in Michigan. But if you were to open carry, which is the only way you could lawfully carry a pistol, right? If you don't have a CPL, you actually can't go into Walmart open carrying, not just because of their store policy they may or may not have, but because unless you have a CPL, you can't carry a gun in a place that's licensed under the Michigan Control Code. So just keep this in mind. Now we're going to add other places to this. Okay, there's one more exception. I'm sorry. Then we'll get into the new parts that were added. A person who possesses a firearm on the premises of an entity described in subsection 1, if that possession is with the permission of the owner or agent of the owner of that entity. So that's why you can carry in churches in certain cases if the pastor or the leadership of the church allows you to. Now we're going to add these. This is all the new part that's getting added to places you can't carry. And trust me, they're going to get CPL holders too. It's just another bill. Except as provided in subsection 4. A person shall not do any of the following while the polls are open on an election day: possess a firearm in a polling place or within 100 feet from any entrance to a building in which a polling place is located. So this is for the whole building if the polling place is located in it. Sometimes you have a large building and just a small portion acts as the polling place. The rest of the building may not, but this covers 100 feet from within any part of the building. Again, not a lawyer. I'm just kind of giving you guys my 2 cents. B, on any day early voting is conducted at an early voting site. Now, you vote for weeks and months before elections now, right? As described in Section 4 of Article 2 of the State Constitution of 1963, possess a firearm at an early voting site or within 100 feet from any entrance to a building in which an early voting site is located. C, for 40 days before an election, possess a firearm within 100 feet of an absent voter ballot drop box. They could have drop boxes everywhere. For the 40 days before an election, when an absent voter can vote an absent voter ballot in person with the city or township clerk, possess a firearm in a city or township clerk's office or an official satellite office of a city or township clerk that is staffed by employees of the city or township clerk or within 100 feet from any entrance to a city or township clerk's office or satellite office. So if you have to go there to pay your taxes, pay your water bill, you'd be disarmed within 40 days before an election. Subsection 3 does not apply to any of the following. A peace officer, because we have 2 different classes of people in this country, obviously, and none of these laws ever affect police officers, just people other than. B, a person who possesses a firearm in that person's residence or on that person's private property, or any other person who has permission to possess a firearm on that person's residence or that person's private property. See, the previous versions of this bill were actually worse than that. It said within your home, meaning if you would have stepped out on your front porch and it was within 100 foot of a ballot box, you would be criminalized. Again, this went back and forth between the House and Senate about 3 times. And yeah. Well, your county clerk would be criminalized if this goes through, guys. I know what you guys are saying. I always do this. So-and-so always does that. Yeah, that's why this is breaking news. They're trying to get rid of the way you've always done things. They're trying to get rid of your right to keep and bear arms in many instances. They actually want to get rid of all of it. This is just what they're doing this week. A person carrying a concealed pistol if that person is licensed by this state or another state to carry a concealed pistol. Okay, so now they're wrapping the CPL holders in. Again, trying to make this seem a little more acceptable. However, look, it's completely unconstitutional to even have to have concealed pistol licenses or carry permits, depending on what state you live in. Shall not be infringed as your permit. Could you imagine if they charge people even $1 to go vote? People would go out of their mind. That's a poll tax, people would say. The right to keep and bear arms is just as sacred of a right to vote. It's actually more sacred than the right to vote, if you want to know my opinion. But certainly nothing's more sacred than the right to keep and bear arms, because the founding fathers in the Second Amendment said shall not be infringed. So just because people are getting exempted with permits, what about people that don't have a permit? I guess they have to really watch themselves. Second-class citizens, in other words. Subsection 3 does not apply to a person who is lawfully transporting or possessing a firearm in a vehicle. Okay, so that's another thing they did to make it a little less worse, but no, there's not any limitations on the Second Amendment as far as I can read. And then a person who violates this section is guilty of a misdemeanor punishable by imprisonment for not more than 90 days or a fine of not more than $100 or both. Now, that's 4127. 4128, and these are on the calendar agenda to be voted on. They're on the calendar for this week, like Wednesday for some of this, Thursday for some of this. Okay, House Bill 4128. So if you guys are calling your legislators to tell them no, we've read 4127, Michigan House Bill. Now we're on Michigan House Bill 4128. The people of the state of Michigan enact. And this has had like 3 different substitutes as well. So if you're familiar with previous versions, they've changed it since then. Except is provided in subsection 2. A person shall not possess a firearm on the premises of any of the following: depository financial institution, church, court, theater, sports arena, daycare center, hospital. Some of this is repetitive, so I'm going quick. An establishment licensed under the Michigan Liquor Control Code of 98 does not apply to any of the following: a person who owns or is employed by a security guard, okay, a peace officer, a person licensed by this state or another state to carry a concealed weapon, a person who possesses a firearm on the premises of an entity described in subsection 1 if that possession is within the permission of the owner or an agent of the owner of that entity. Okay, so I'm going through here to see. A lot of these look very, very similar. Okay, some of this is going to be a little bit different. It's going to sound similar, but it's a little bit different. How are you guys doing tonight, by the way? Let me know how y'all are doing. And how many of you live in Michigan? Because even if you don't, I'm going to get into talking about the U.S. Senate election for the majority leader in just a few minutes when we get through these. Except as provided in subsection 4, a person shall not do any of the following: while polls are open on an election day, possess a firearm in a polling place within 100 feet from any entrance to a building in which a polling place is located. On any day early voting is conducted at an early voting site as described in subsection 4.1(m) of Article 2 of the State Constitution of 1963. See how they promulgate law on law? These are House Bills 4127, House Bills 4128, Michigan, and I'm going to be going over Michigan House Bills 5450 and 5451. So 5450, 5451, 4127, and 4128. Christy. How's it going, Christy? How you doing tonight? Possess a firearm in an early voting site or within 100 feet of any entrance to a building in which an early voting site is located for 40 days before an election. Possess a firearm within 100 feet from any absent voter ballot drop box. For the 40 days before the election, when an absentee, okay, that's the same thing, staffed by the clerk. That's all about the same. A peace officer acting in the course of the officer's duties is exempt. A person who possesses a firearm on that person's residence or on that person's private property is also exempt. A person carrying a concealed pistol, if that person is licensed by this state or another state to carry a concealed pistol. Subsection 3C does not apply to a person who is lawfully transporting or possessing a firearm in a vehicle. Except as provided in subsection 7, a person shall not, while absent voter ballots are being processed, possess a firearm in an absent voter counting place or a combined absent voter counting place within 100 feet from any entrance to an absent voter counting place or a combined absent voter counting place. Does not apply to a uniform, section 7 or 6, does not apply to a uniformed law enforcement officer acting in the course of their duties. So 4127 and 4128 combine to make a whole list, like a really long list of places, prohibited places. Now, again, I know some of you guys are like, dude, this already passed. No, it did not become law last year. 4127. We thought it was going to. It was essentially this close. These are both on like their third substitute, and they are what's called on their third and final reading. So these 2 items, I believe, are on the agenda. They're calendar items, is what they call it, for Michigan House session on this Wednesday. All right. Now, 2 more. These are shorter ones, and this is just that kind of stuff that's just like, ugh. Now they're going to start lording over your family. Now they're going to try to yet again put a wedge between you and your children. This is just more of this deep state stuff. Just taking a sip of my blackout coffee here. Look, the Republicans won the Michigan House of Representatives. It's clear that the people are tired of this. They're doing this in the lame duck session, which is just the most grimy, unscrupulous, low-down way to be shoving this stuff through. And if you think this is bad, this is Second Amendment channel, and this is bad, okay? If you guys want to know when I'm done with this, I'll look in the comments. And if you guys want to know the stuff they're doing with genders and all of that kind of stuff, trying to get rid of the Electoral College, I mean, there's literally like 100 items that they're going to bulldoze through the House of Representatives in Michigan, like in a week, with them still being in Democrat control. Also, Democrat control of the Senate and the governor. This is just like, we're just going to go over the for gun control right now, but I can give you guys some little teasers if you want to know about some crazy stuff going on. Oh, that bill was passed into law about if you accidentally enter somebody's ice fishing shanty. Oh, yeah. Key in X's car, make an unsolicited phone call after 8 p.m. Oh, yeah, all of that passed. Okay, House Bill 5450. This one is on its first reading, but dude, they can do first reading. They can come back and do second reading. They can go to third reading and get it passed like within a day if they want, within minutes. They can suspend the rules and get rid of committees. Okay? Like, everyone's like, well, there has to be a committee hearing. You would hope so. But much of this stuff passes without committee hearings. It's just called, that Pohutsky's her name. She's still got the gavel right now. They can suspend all the rules. This can go from first reading to the Senate, to the governor's desk in 24 hours if they wanted to. I'm just saying, if it's the will of the people, if these Democrats think that they never want to win again, or maybe they just don't care about the Second Amendment voters, I mean, it's up for you guys to decide whether they care about the Second Amendment vote. Actually, that's on all of us. Did you guys know they found 26,000 ballots that were forgotten about, like didn't get counted in northwestern Michigan over 4 counties that were largely leaning Republican? Look that up if you want a good read. Gateway Pundit reported on it today. I digress. House Bill 5450, the people of the state of Michigan enact. Ooh, my screen just flickered when I said that they found some ballots. Did you hear? Ooh, wow. My screen literally just flickered when I said that. That's crazy. Wow. Hold on a minute. Let me check on something here. I'm still here, right? I think. Dude, this happened to me last time too. I say something that's a bit controversial, and on my end anyways, my whole screen flashes. I'm probably dumb to even be on here letting you guys know about this stuff. I think that's a sign. Oh, well, I was never known for being too smart, so I'll keep informing you. Okay, I'm still here. No, my screen just like flashed on my end. Like the video part just went, like, don't talk about those 26,000 votes that were lost. You know what I mean? And for you guys watching on replay, shout out. I just had to give somebody heck in the chat when I first started. Someone's like, dude, I love your info, but get to the point. Dude, I've covered more info on this than anybody has. And plus, you guys like my commentary anyways. People will do a 3-minute video on this, but they won't give you the information I will. So that's what I was ranting about in the very beginning. The people of the state of Michigan enact Section 1313A1 by no later than June 1st, 2025, the Department of Health and Human Services. But hold on to AEDU. I thought you said this was a gun control bill. Oh, it is. It's this complicated web that now involves the Department of Health and Human Services shall develop and provide to the department an informational notice containing information and best practices regarding the storage of firearms. This notice must include at least all of the following. A, an overview of the requirements under Section 9 excuse me, of 1927, PA 372, MCL 28.429. That's the safe storage that passed. Okay. No, you're right, Jane. When I said that, when I mentioned those votes, the audio made a weird noise and the whole thing like this. I can't make this up, guys. What if I talk about all the stuff FEMA brought in to, that's a whole nother Michigan story. I'm not even going to go there. Just joking, Ghost of Susan Wiki. Just joking, YouTube. FEMA didn't just move in a whole bunch of stuff into Michigan, I promise. Long wink. Did my screen just... You can't make this stuff up. Okay. Safe storage bill passed. This is all pursuant to that, making it safer for the criminal. By the way, soon to be Speaker of the House of the Michigan Republicans, Matt Hall, voted for that, guys. Like, this is where we're at right now. Go Team Red. Oh, I can't stand political parties. Should have listened to George Washington, right? My friend Pete left me a reply on one of my Facebook posts. Like, we should have listened to George Washington and his dire warnings of political parties. Okay. So, answers to frequently asked questions about firearm storage requirements. C. Guidance on where a parent or legal guardian can obtain gun locks and gun safes, including free or low-cost options. 2. The department shall share the informational notice developed under this section 1 with all public schools. The department shall share the informational notice with a non-public school upon request by the non-public school's governing body. So your woke private schools could start. This is to indoctrinate your children. This is going to be notices. This is essentially becoming part of the school curriculum so that your children can come to you, right? This reminds me of Mao's Color Revolution, where the children came in and told the parents, no, you're wrong. This is the way it's supposed to be. That's what this is. This is crazy. Thank you, Anthony. All right. If you guys just look up like Michigan House of Representatives in Google, that's all you'll have to do. You'll get to the Michigan House of Representatives homepage. There's a spot where you can put your address in to get your representative's phone number. And this is the rep that's currently in office. So keep in mind, if there was a switchover, because elections just happened, that doesn't happen until January. So these are still the reps that were elected 2 years ago that are voting on all this. Just remember that. So if your upcoming rep is Riley Linting, that was a huge victory in Michigan's 27th district. Well, that's not your rep for another 2 months. Your representative is currently Jamie Churches. See what I'm saying? What's happening, Red? No, you got it, man. Beginning, let's see here. So they're going to be sharing the informational notice with all of the public schools and even the non-public, if requested. Now, Section 3, beginning July 1st, 2025, the Department of Health and Human Services shall update annually the informational notice developed under this section. Oh, this is going into perpetuity, baby. To account for any change in the law, the updated notice must be provided annually to the department by no later than July 1st. That's 5450, indoctrinating your children more. Now, here's the companion bill. This is where it gets even a little bit creepier. This is House Bill 5451. And I happen to know, because I did a lot of good research, that they're voting on this stuff, like this week. And again, I already called my rep, Jamie Thompson, to tell her about this. And I'll be happy when she votes no on all of this. Okay, the next one, 5451. The people of the state of Michigan enact Section 1313B1, beginning October 1st, 2025, and every October 1st thereafter. The board of a school district or intermediate school district, the board of directors of a public school academy, or the governing body of a non-public school as applicable. Whoa, now they're reaching into all of our schools. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there you go. There you go, Air Doo. Exactly. Google Michigan House of Representatives. There's a spot right there. Put your address in. It'll tell you your rep. Since all of you guys just voted like 6 days ago, you guys all know your rep, right? Okay, that's my homework assignment. If you don't know who your rep is yet, find out. Find out, or we're in big trouble. If we don't even know who these people are yet, you got to start somewhere, but time to catch up. Okay, so let's go over this again. This is every October 1st thereafter, forever and ever, amen, according to them. The board of a school district or intermediate school district, the board of directors of a public school academy, or the governing body of a non-public school, as applicable, shall distribute the informational notice developed under 1313A to the parent or legal guardian of each student enrolled in the school district, intermediate school district, public school academy, or non-public school. These places don't even get public funds, but they're going to still mandate for your private schools. The informational notice may be distributed electronically or by mail. 2. By no later than October 1st, 2025, the department shall post the informational notice developed under Section 1313A on the department's website in English, Spanish, and Arabic. Section 3. By no later than October 1st, 2025, the board of a school district or intermediate school district, the board of directors of a public school academy, and the governing body of a non-public school, as applicable, shall post links to the department web page's description and described in subsection 2 on the website of the school district, public school academy, or non-public school as applicable. 4. The Department of Health and Human Services, a school district or intermediate school district, a public school academy or non-public school, or any officers, board members, or employees of those institutions are immune from civil liability, both personally and professionally, for any damages allegedly caused by, arising out of, or relating to the informational notice developed under 1313A. This amendment does not take effect unless the House Bill 5450 goes into effect. Okay, do you hear what they just did at the end? They just gave them civil immunity. You can't sue your school district. Okay, so this here is going to be this draconian notice and letter that's going to go out to all your children and all of the schools. Okay, this is making it where they have to accept it. They have to publish it. They have to post links on their website. And by the way, if this caused you any type of problems, like let's say your house got raided and your whole gun collection got destroyed, or it caused distress for your child where they couldn't sleep at night from this. I'm just trying to think of plausible things that could go wrong. I mean, lots of things could go wrong. You can't do anything to them. All these different entities or employees of or officers of these institutions are immune from civil liability, both personally and professionally, for any damages allegedly caused by, arising out of, or relating to the informational notice development. So there you go. The problem is, though, I mean, this is all a big problem, but here's another problem. And that you guys that are watching, just think about all your fellow gun owners and stuff. A lot of people are like, oh, geez, this is all nothing. They didn't restrict us down to 10 rounds. They didn't do an AWB. They didn't get rid of hollow points. Like, there's just so many gun owners I know where I'm like, dude, more gun control is probably going to pass this week. And people will literally tell me like, oh, is there an assault weapons ban? No, not yet. Oh, well then who cares? Whatever. It's okay. This is all by design, though. This is the stuff that sounds kind of innocuous. Like, well, we'll exempt the CPL holders from this. We'll exempt some other people from that a little bit. And then they say, well, now we're just going to send this letter home from school. Just send this letter home from school talking about all of the aspects of how you're supposed to store your firearms within the home. And then we're going to mandate that they publish it to their website with different foreign languages. And then, by the way, if they cause you any type of damages, right? Any type of damages, you can't sue them personally or professionally. Dude, any law that makes it where you can't sue somebody for causing you damages is completely and utterly tyrannical. Yeah, they take it little by little is what Grizzly Man said. You got it, man. You got it. We're going to talk about Irish Rover in Florida. What's happening? He says, what's the odds of Cornyn winning Wednesday? I'm going to talk about that in just a few minutes. Do you guys have any questions about the stuff going on in Michigan? I'm going to give you guys a real quick recap. I'm sorry for all of you who've been watching from the beginning, but there's a few more people watching now. restricting guns in all kinds of voting places and ballot drop boxes and polling places. Those two bills are going to be House Bills, Michigan House Bill 4127 and 4128. So if you're just, tell your reps, vote no on 4127, 4128. House Bills 5450 and 5451. So you guys can see those there if you need to write them down. These are companion bills, meaning if this one passes, then they vote on this one. So this is contingent upon this. This is going to now send notices from your school published on their website talking about all of the stuff with the so-called, and I'm using big air quotes, safe storage laws. Yeah, making it safer for the criminal while you're fumbling around with a lock or a safe or a combination in the middle of the night. The criminal, which look, these laws only affect the law abiding. Obviously, the criminal that doesn't follow laws, they come in cock-locked and ready to rock, ready to go. Now, this is literally just as we had, and I don't use this word lightly, I'm using it the way it should be. There was just a mandate from the American people generally that we're sick of all this crap. In Michigan, the governor wasn't up for re-election this time. Neither was the Michigan Senate. In the only statewide races, okay, and I'm not talking on the federal level, federal senator, yes. United States Senate, yes, guys, but the only statewide race in Michigan that was in the legislature, right? Like there was no governor, there was no Senate. Yeah, we did have Supreme Court justices, which the two conservatives lost like crazy. I don't understand that. But in the House, that was the main race this year. Again, they flip like 4 seats. The Republicans do. People have said we're sick and tired of this crap. Now during the lame duck, they're going to cram it all through. I can give you guys some blurbs. You want a couple little things that are not Second Amendment related that'll just make your head kind of spin? Dude, this is in response to everything, Christy. Whipping their butts big time. This is in response to, they're just telling us, screw you is what they're doing. This is a big screw you. And this is more death by 1,000 paper cuts. And actually, though, that 4127 and 28 could criminalize a lot of people. Okay, Low Mill, I'll go over just a couple, because some of this stuff's crazy that they're working on right now. They're going to try to cram through literally like this week. Stephen Williford, my friend. I've seen him a couple times in the past year, actually. Christy says Stephen Williford didn't have safe storage laws in Sutherland Springs. Yeah, if he didn't. He could have prevented even more people dying during that church shooting. I know he had to go to the safe. If he did not, he could have even prevented more. No, you're right. Let me pull this up here from my secret little archives of information that I keep. You guys know what I mean? I have my sources. I'll just leave it at that. If anyone from the other side is watching this and like, dude, how does this guy know what's on the calendar? I'm just that smart. I'm good enough at doing all of the research behind the scenes. Okay, let me find this one you guys are going to think is crazy. First of all, are you guys my regulars that watch my Friday night live streams mostly right now? If you are, it'll be an all familiar thing. Remember the Supreme Court Justice? I can't remember how to pronounce her name. I think they pronounce it Jumanji. When she was asked during her confirmation, she was asked by a senator, I think it was Josh Hawley, actually, from Missouri, said, ma'am, you want to be on the highest court. I have a simple question for you. What's a woman? Remember this? And this is tying in with these bills they're going to be shoving through Michigan here. She says, oh, I have no idea. How could I possibly know what a woman is? I'm not a biologist. I'm not a doctor. Nobody knows. You guys remember this, right? Nobody knows. Now she's on the Supreme Court. And I'm sitting there thinking, she's like, what's a woman? Nobody knows what a woman is. I'm like an adult human female, obviously. Nobody knows. I'm not a biologist, she said. I'm like, boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. Yeah. Okay. They're also going to be voting on House Bills, we'll call these the 5300 series. So 5300 This is by Rep Pohutsky. Oh, that's the one with the gavel. Would make it easier for individuals to change their legal name to a preferred name that is consistent with the individual's chosen gender identity. So all of a sudden someone can say, oh, hey, my name is Tom. Real quick with like a little form. Now my name's Teresa. House Bill 5301. This is Rep Devendorf. Would allow applicants for an operator's license, so your driver's license, to indicate their gender identity as male, female, or X. You can't even make this up. X. The use of X would indicate that a person does not traditionally identify as being either male or female. Now, I'm telling my wife about this. This is a true story, just like a half hour ago. She's like, oh my gosh, hold on, what's this? She's like, an Amber Alert's coming through her phone. We were on the phone because I'm not home. I'm out here doing all this information to try to save the Second Amendment in Michigan and the whole country. And she's like, oh, there's an Amber Alert. There's a 7-year-old little girl that they're looking for. I'm like, well, at least as of right now, we still call them boys and girls, because once people start putting X on their IDs, what are they going to do? There's a 35-year-old X that's missing. What are you going to look for? Are you looking for a man? Are you looking for a woman? Nobody knows. They're just X. Like, literally, this is House Bill 5301. 5302. Hold on, let me scroll down to this one. I don't like this stuff. Like, this is not Second Amendment stuff. Okay, so that's basically the same exact verbiage as the other one, but it allows you to change it to X. Okay, instead of male or female, X on your state ID card. Hold on, there's more here. The way I get this, I get it by like smoke signal. You know what I mean? So I have to kind of bring it through. That's why it's taking me a minute to pull this stuff up. Okay, there's that one. Let's see. There's that one. Ooh, this is one you guys might not like either. This is House Bill 4440 from Michigan. Clarifies that if Michigan enters into the National Popular Vote Compact, then whichever presidential candidate obtains the largest national popular vote total is to be considered elected. Okay? And that's a companion to another one where they're trying to make us part of the national popular vote. So Michigan's trying to, with 15 other states, join this compact that is getting rid of the Electoral College. Making it harder to get permits in Michigan, bringing the Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy in on disputes related to permits and permit applications. So that's just going to basically keep industry from coming in. There's a whole bunch of stuff, even trying to change some of the way that different township boards can vote, taking that out of your local community. Let me see what else there is here. There's a bunch of just weirdo stuff. Okay, here's some more woke stuff. So you can just change your gender to M, F, or X on your state ID or your license. Now check this out. This is House Bill 5303. Would require the state registrar to produce a new birth certificate for an individual who presents a signed form indicating a change in their preferred gender identity to either male, female, or X. The use of X would indicate that a person does not traditionally identify as either male or female. So on a whim, you can literally just sign a form now and change your driver's license to where your gender is X, and your birth certificate and your state ID card. There's major problems that are going to happen from this too, like logistical problems. Just keep that in mind. What do you guys think? Do you guys like that? And it's not 2A related. I know it's not, but a couple of you guys said, yeah, you would like to know some of the weird stuff. This has nothing to do with people's X and XY chromosomes, though, man. That's the crazy part. This is just your preference. If your preferred gender changes, you can now change your birth certificate. You know what I mean? Your preferred doesn't change your birth certificate, C Bear says. I know, but I just told you guys the House bill that's on the calendar for this week where they want to change that. Like essentially right now, they're going to try to change it. Are you guys with me? Some people think I'm too conservative. I'm too whatever. Look, I ain't even conservative, meaning I don't want to conserve this. I'm conservative as in like take me back about 3 centuries ago, like late 1700s. I'm a conservative, meaning I want to conserve that stuff. But are you guys okay with me saying there's only 2 genders? I mean, would that be okay if I were to say that? But yeah, X, you could be an M, an F, or an X. M, F, or X. But think about that little girl that was abducted or whatever, right? The Amber Alert that went out earlier, where a 7-year-old X is missing. Call the police if you have any information. It would certainly help find that little girl knowing she's a little girl, right? Okay, some of you guys agree with me. Good. A lot of the gun community's gone woke lately too. You know, you never know. I don't know. Christy says our pronouns are bring it. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, post-revolution, but pre-whiskey rebellion type conservative. Yeah, I think I'm going to start using that because I have such a hard time describing what I am because you always have to like identify as something supposedly. The U.S. House of Representatives is Republican as of now. We will see. The Michigan House is going Republican, but is still Democrat as we speak, and they're making it known during this lame duck. Trust me. Mr. C says, I'm be a MF. Yeah, some of you guys are like, just put both on there. I'm going to be an MFer. Give them an inch, they take a mile. Yeah. What's happening, Gail? How you doing? Nice to see you. She says, absolutely. There are only 2 genders. Don't ask for permission. No, I'm sick of all of this. And I'm only giving you guys this extra stuff that's not 2A related because it's just, and there's like, oh gosh, 100 things they're going to vote on. So here's something on the national level. So shout out to all the people who live in Michigan and now the other 49 states and people that watch from other countries. Good people in other countries are behind us too, guys, just so you know. Yeah, we're not talking about that. Wafagoey Jones, this is somebody's preference. If they prefer, see? That's the deal here. This is prefer. Okay. All right. So the United States Senate, Mitch McConnell announced a while ago he's going to retire his role as the Senate Majority Leader. He's not retiring from the Senate. He actually hasn't even said whether he's going to seek re-election for sure next time. He's 150 years old. And Mitch McConnell's a real rhino. He's a real beauty. Don't like him at all. He was behind the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, along with 15 other Republicans. Big-time gun control that the ATF's promulgated a bunch of other rules on, making our life heck. Now, here's the problem we have right now. And most of my viewers are probably MAGA supporters, okay? Most of you are. Some of you aren't, though. My MAGA friends, just hold on before you bite my head off, because there's 3 nominees right now, or 3 people in the running to take Mitch's job, and there's going to be a secret silent vote. Some people said there already was one and the results leaked. You be the judge of that. But we've got 3 senators, Senator Cornyn, Senator Thune, and Senator Rick Scott of Florida. Now, all the MAGA people are saying you got to encourage your senator to vote for Rick Scott. Here's my take on this. This is a really crappy situation because Senator Cornyn voted for the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act and a couple other anti-Second Amendment resolutions. He's been a never-Trumper from the beginning for a long time. He is not as vocal as McConnell has been against Trump, but he's been against Trump, and Trump knows it, and a lot of people know it. So Cornyn, not a good one to be leading the Senate for 2 reasons. First of all, he's going to be against Trump's agenda, okay? So that's going to kind of could put the Senate in gridlock with the executive branch. Trump won Electoral College and popular vote. It means his agenda now has a mandate from the American people. I have issues with some of the things Trump's done in the past and things that might be on his agenda in the future. I hope they're not, but I'm watching out for things like red flag laws and others. Now, so Cornyn's bad. Thune and Cornyn actually have the same GOA rating from Gun Owners of America. They both have a 71 rating. Okay. Now, here's the interesting part. Thune actually voted against the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. Cornyn voted for it. But Thune did vote for an anti-Second Amendment resolution. The GOA is pretty strict on their scores. They both get a 71. Now you got Rick Scott. Okay, but let me back up. Thune is against the Trump agenda too, as a whole, maybe entirely. The Thune and Cornyn, I would say, are fair enough to call rhinos. They're against the Trump agenda. It's going to be tough to have a leader of the Senate that's fighting with the president of his own party. Okay, there's a problem with those 2. Now there's Rick Scott. Now Rick Scott is MAGA. He's pro-Trump. He's outwardly vocal, says he wants to follow through Trump's agenda. So on the surface, and if we stopped right here, it's like, well, Rick Scott would be the obvious one you would want. Okay? Now, here's the problem with Rick Scott. And I wish there could be a 4th option, like another person. Rand Paul, let's just say, for example, right? As far as the Second Amendment goes, Ted Cruz. As far as the Second Amendment goes, Mike Lee. Now, as soon as I say those names, you guys are going to say, but Mike Lee did this or Cruz did that. I know, life's complicated. This is more of a Second Amendment focused channel. I'm talking about the Second Amendment. We don't want any of the 3 for the Second Amendment. And here's why. Rick Scott, when he was governor, okay, when he was governor of Florida, red flag laws, raising the age to buy a gun from 18 to 21. Right. There's laws in place in Florida where you can't modify and upgrade your trigger. And other things, okay? And other things. Bump stocks, I believe, were banned on a state level. Look, there's been a bunch of stuff that's happened in Florida, but some of that happened literally on his watch. He signed it. Now, some people aren't going to believe me when I say this. So, again, don't mistake what I'm saying here. If the only 3 choices are these 3, you guys can encourage your senators to vote however you want. I'm only talking about the Second Amendment, and I'm saying they're all bad. Now, the other 2 are against Trump's agenda. That might be even more reason they're bad. If you hate Trump's agenda, well, then maybe you would want Thune because you hate Trump's agenda. I don't know. Everyone's going to have their own different way they think about things. I'm just saying, generally speaking, the American people want Trump's agenda as evident by winning the Electoral College and winning the popular vote. Now, some people have said stuff like, well, that was just when Rick Scott was governor. Since he's been a senator, he's disavowed all of his, you know what I'm saying? He's disavowed, but that's just not true, guys. So I'm just going to show you this so you know. And then in good conscience, call your senator and encourage them to vote for whoever you want as the Senate majority leader, all right? Okay. This is rickscott.senate.gov. So I'm not getting this from any kind of, this is literally his Senate website. It's still on there right now, meaning he could take this off. I'm not in the Wayback Machine. I am not looking in an archive. This is currently published on Senator Rick Scott's website. I am a gun owner and NRA member. I support red flag laws to help stop mass shootings. He supports red flag laws, guys. Like, I just saw an interview of him a couple weeks ago. He was just called out by like a smaller independent reporter. And he said, well, yeah, as long as there's due process. But here's the problem. It's like what Trump said in that press conference. He's like, I like take them quick. Take the guns first, then due process. But that violates like half of the Bill of Rights and the 14th Amendment and literally everything in the Constitution, because you can't take first and then due process. That's no due process at all. It's called an ex parte hearing, where the person that complains puts in their, they flag you, right? Put in their paperwork. They take your guns. Then you come back afterwards and you fight and claw with your own legal expense to try to prove your innocence and try to get your guns back. So Governor Rick Scott of Florida was a big red flagger, big red flag champion. As senator, he has an op-ed. It's on his site. Go to rickscott.senate.gov if you want to read through all of this. Rick Scott, a Republican, is a U.S. senator from Florida. This is his op-ed. Washington Post op-ed by Rick Scott on his own website. And some of you guys are really mad at me right now that love him, but hey, don't be mad at me. I didn't write this. I didn't put this on my U.S. Senate website. So that's kind of where we're at right now. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't, I guess. Look, I quote tweeted Matt Gaetz, Representative Matt Gaetz. Everybody loves him, you know? And he's saying, vote Rick Scott. And I'm like, well, and again, you guys do what you want, but do you want Never Trumper that supports gun control Cornyn? Do you want Never Trumper Thune, who's considered establishment? But Thune actually did vote no against the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. He took a good vote on that. Scott took a good vote on that one too. He voted no against the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, right? But yeah, so I don't know, guys. Think about it. Me, none of the three. But here's the thing. I don't have a senator to call on this, unfortunately, either. The Republican senators get to vote on who their leader is. Okay? Right now, I have Stabenow and Peters as my two senators. Keep in mind, Mitt screwed this whole thing up. This is a deep state cabal of Mitch McConnell trying to mess up Trump's agenda as much as he possibly can. All right? What should happen is the new senators, when they come in, because there's like 6 of them or whatever that are switching hands, 5 or 6, whatever the number is total. They didn't flip quite that many seats, but between ones that are, like, for example, Stabenow's retiring in Michigan, but being replaced by Slotkin. So I think there's at least 6 or maybe 7 total. Some that flipped to Republican, some stayed Democrat, that are new members of the Senate. You should wait till the new Senate comes in before you vote on something like this. Yeah. So in other words, my 2 United States senators have no vote on who the Republican majority leader is going to be, because it's just going to be within the Republican caucus. Slotkin's really bad. I know. So what's going to happen, guys, is this, where you still do have Democrat strongholds. They're going to buck this new mandate from the American people that people are sick of this crap. For better or for worse, I'm just calling a spade a spade. Trump won the Electoral College and the popular vote. I was going to write in Ron Paul, Rand Paul's daddy. I was going to write in Ron Paul. I like both Pauls, but I like Ron a little bit more, if you want to know the truth. I was going to write him in until 2 days before the election. I found out that, it's not 100% guaranteed, but essentially that Ron Paul would be on the Trump administration. I said, well, shoot, now I've got to make up my mind a little more. And I did vote for Trump, but still very suspicious of him with gun control. Has he changed his tune? I'm not trusting that on gun control. Now he's calling for national concealed carry reciprocity. That's okay. And it's a good start. And I understand the way strategy works. All the experts would tell me, dude, that's a huge win because you have to start somewhere and then you slowly work towards what you want. Well, okay, I guess, but that's not even okay with me. Why don't you just abolish the National Firearms Act or abolish the Gun Control Act of 1968 and we wouldn't have permits? See, that's always been my problem with constitutional carry bills. When the government has to write a bill saying that you can carry without a permit, that's unconstitutional. Look, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. As Marbury v. Madison, 1803 Supreme Court precedent says, all laws that are repugnant to the Constitution are void. So if a legislature writes a gun control law, it's supposed to be void because it's antithetical to the Second Amendment, right? This is the country that I want to live in. I'd like to get us back to this. So when we celebrate and jump up and down, and I've said this before, this is nothing new, and I always lose subscribers when I say it. So if you're new, welcome and subscribe if you find me to be a breath of fresh air, because I don't get along with most Republicans on this topic, just so you guys know. And I'm not a libertarian either. There ain't no political home for a guy like me. Lots of good friends, but lots of people don't like my style either, because I'm pretty much just read what the darn thing says, ratified 1791, and that's it. Just shall not be infringed. End of story. And there is no but, there is no except, there is no for the law-abiding citizen clause in the Second Amendment either, by the way. So all my friends that say, but for the law-abiding citizen, no. Because when guns are outlawed, then only outlaws will own guns. Here's my problem with constitutional carry. You're going to have your state write a law saying, we give you permission to do this? What giveth can taketh away, see? No, we don't need constitutional carry laws. We just need to repeal gun control, and we have the darn Second Amendment. The right to keep and bear. That would be openly carrying, concealed carrying, a combination of both, driving down the street in your tank. Look, shall not be infringed. Now, you don't have the right to drive down the street and do destruction to other people's property. You don't have the right to murder. You don't have the right to impede other people from their ingress and regress for their homes. You know, you have to have a moral compass. See, that's the problem. People go, what about this? What about that? The problem is there's so many darn laws where you can't defend yourself anymore. If you take it back to the founding, where people could take care of themselves, a lot of those bad types just kind of get weeded out, actually. If you really think about it, that's just the way the laws of nature work. So, national concealed carry reciprocity. You know, it's less worse. I get it. Like, somebody right now could become criminalized if they're driving from Michigan to Iowa and they have to drive through Illinois. That's terrible. A concealed carry reciprocity would fix that. So, like, that part of it's good. I'm trying to be reasonable the way I think about this, but wouldn't it be better just to say there's no laws that would prohibit you from carrying anywhere? Like, whatever those are, just get rid of them? What if we had a national voter's permit where to be able to vote? And I'd actually probably be for this, just as an FU to everybody. Just to all the reasonable Republicans out there. Okay? So, if I said you should have to get a permit to vote, you have to take a class, you have to have a competency test. Now, look, I'd actually be all for it. Let's do it. But no, people would literally throw stones at me if I was a legislator and tried to make that law. You have to pay $100. You have to renew it every year, every 5 years, every year, every 3 years, depending on what state you live in. If somebody had to drop one penny, it's just a little, like, I don't even know, a little token tax. If you had to put one penny, one copper-plated piece of steel, because they're not even copper anymore, into a box to walk in and vote, people would lose their ever-loving minds. Wouldn't they? Then why is it okay to say that you have to buy a permit to carry between all 50 states when the Second Amendment says it shall not be infringed? I don't know. I don't know how that makes any sense. And here's the other problem: the 10th Amendment. Hasn't anyone ever read the 10th Amendment that thinks up this crap? The 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Unless those powers are specifically enumerated in the Constitution for the federal government, right? The rest is to the states and then to we the people, respectively. Not rights. The states don't have rights. There is no states' rights. No form of government has rights. Rights are inherent in people. All men are created equal, and they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And then it talks about that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. People have rights, governments have powers. And the federal government is supposed to have very, very few powers, actually. And the states are supposed to have more than the federal government. And then we, the people, are supposed to have the lion's share, the vast majority of the power. So anytime I hear a conservative say, well, the 10th Amendment is states' rights, go read the darn thing. And this is all just stuff for you to have debates and talk about with your friends. No. Rights are for people. Powers are given to governments by the consent of the governed. And for somebody to come in there and say, see, we're not the omnipresent federal United States government. That's not the name of our country. It's the United States of America. We are states that are each supposed to be their own sovereign governments that collectively consent to the government having very, very few enumerated powers that are talked about very specifically and pointedly in the Constitution. And for the federal government to be able to tell states that, your permit has to be good, your permit has to be there, I have two problems with that. It's an overreach of federal authority, but that's only the secondary part. The biggest problem is there shouldn't be any permits. So for you to say concealed carry reciprocity is a great thing, well, for you to accept the latter is a great thing. Aren't you now accepting the former as a great thing as well? See, if concealed carry reciprocity, permit reciprocity is great, aren't you also agreeing that having a permit to be able to exercise your natural right to keep and bear arms, aren't you actually saying that's a great idea too? Now, people might not outwardly be saying that, but that's actually what's going on. If you want your permit to be good in all 50 states, that's you first acknowledging that your permit is something that you should have to have. And I don't believe that our rights come from government. See, if you look at the founding fathers, you could say James Madison. A lot of people would say he's the author of the Constitution. You could talk about Thomas Jefferson, who's mainly the author of the Declaration of Independence. You could read the Federalist Papers and Anti-Federalist Papers where they hashed all of this stuff out. You could talk about Ben Franklin often serving as an intermediary, going over and making alliances with places like France because we won the American Revolution. The militia, the People's Militia, was mainly responsible, as well as George Washington's regular army. But we also had allies overseas. So there were some people that were very, very important in founding this country, and they deserve a lot of credit. But the thing is James Madison, nor Alexander Hamilton, nor Ben Franklin, nor John Hancock, nor any of them gave us our rights. Your rights come from God. These are the laws of nature and of nature's God, is what Thomas Jefferson acknowledged, very humbly acknowledged, actually. And governments have powers, not rights. So what's happening right now is we get a big victory on the national level, in many people's opinion. I'm sure most of yours. And we get a victory in Michigan. We see the other sides trying to undermine everything here in Michigan, trying to cram a bunch of woke stuff through at the last minute. Now we see that, Rick Scott is the popular choice among all these people, these famous people that my stream's going to reach very few. But basically all the people that matter that are talking about this stuff, Rick Scott's our guy. We have to go with Rick Scott because that's what Trump wants. Look, that's fine, that's great, but I don't care about Trump or Rick Scott or any of these put together. I care what the Constitution says. And there's many social issues that I care about as well. But when it comes to the Constitution, I don't care if like Rick Scott wants red flag laws, so that's okay because he's Trump's guy. Like, no, that's still not okay. And here's how I look at it. If Rick Scott all of a sudden has changed his tune and he doesn't like red flag laws now, let's just say he doesn't. He could, with one click, with one phone call, he could tell one of his staffers to delete that op-ed that's still on his Senate site right now. Think about it. This one right here. I'm a gun owner and NRA member. I support red flag laws to help stop mass shootings. That's on the Senate website right now. Go look at it. rickscott.senate.gov. I'm just saying. But by the way, for anyone that just joined, Cornyn be terrible. Thune too, actually. In my opinion, out of the three, Thune might be better on the Second Amendment. Might be. I say might, though. I don't trust him either. I got a super chat from Colin L. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it, man. He says, well, I got great friends that can hold my heirlooms, dad's tools, grandpa's tools, and keep my tools for what I need. Right on. Right on. I get what you're saying. You got to have a permit to drive, but it's good in all 50. Okay. Do you agree that you should have to have a permit to drive? I don't know. I'm just saying. Do you support national reciprocity? Do you think you should have to have a permit? Oh, federal laws only overrule state laws when they want them to. Trust me on that. We have federal immigration law. That's the law of the land still on paper. And then we have sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. Okay. Now, I know my viewers are going to be split probably 50-50 on this, but I'm just saying this as calling a spade a spade. Marijuana is federally prohibited. Federally prohibited. But more than half the states have legalized it for either medical, recreational, or a combination or both. Now, I remember when Kansas tried to say that they were going to make silencers legal in the state. The feds came in and said, no, we reign supreme, and they raided the people that were making them. So it's a pick and choose. Trust me. You guys can come up with gotchas on me, but you got to look at it. There's gotchas on the other side, too. Oh, yeah. The supremacy clause of the United States Constitution says it reigns supreme. But here's the problem, though. That's the Constitution itself that reigns supreme. That's what people often forget. Not these millions and probably almost billions now of federal laws, codes, CFRs, interpretive rulings by all of the agencies, the bureaucrats, the fourth completely unequal and unchecked branch of government. The bureaucrats are the ones with all the power in this country and have been for a very, very long time. So the Constitution as written is the supreme law of the land. By the time you pervert it to the point where it's virtually unrecognizable and make this country pretty much unrecognizable, well, yeah, then you have a big problem when the jackboots are trying to reign supreme because they'll invoke the supremacy clause. Just think about this. Think about the hypocrisy in this. Okay, so the jackboots will say, nope, we have the right to raid Kansas because they're making silencers outside of the National Firearms Act, right? Without any type of tax stamp. Because we get our authority from the Constitution that says we reign supreme and we can come overpower the state of Kansas. Oh, okay. So you believe the Second Amendment reigns supreme too, right? Because this just shall not be infringed, which means the NFA is null and void. Nope. They just pick and choose. The Second Amendment does not reign supreme across all 50 states. They'll make that blatantly clear. Obviously, look at all the varieties of gun control laws in these 50 states. But the supremacy clause part of the Constitution that does get to reign supreme. Think about it. The National Firearms Act, that reigns supreme against us in all 50 states. Marijuana laws, the federal law does not reign supreme. Immigration law does not reign supreme. So they just pick and choose whichever one they want. And sometimes they say it's this, sometimes they say it's that. Does that make sense? Look, whether you guys think weed should be illegal or not has absolutely zero to do with what I'm talking about. I tried to make that clear earlier. Whether you think immigration laws should be the law has zero of what I'm talking about. I'm just saying they pick and they choose. It's the supremacy clause. Even if a state says, no, silencers are removed from the National Firearms Act in our state, nope, the ATF still comes in full jackbooted force. But a state's allowed to say, we don't follow immigration law, we don't follow marijuana law. Now, maybe I should ask a different question. What do you guys like more, marijuana or guns? Marijuana is going to win, obviously. But what I'm saying is that's not my point either. My point is they pick and choose. Sometimes the federal government reigns supreme. Sometimes it doesn't. And that's a big, big hypocrisy. Yeah. Yeah, founding fathers are bootleggers who grew weed and evaded. Yeah. And you know what else, Red? See, you can't pick just half against me, man. You got to do it all. And also said the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. They also had no gun control laws, see? So, I'm saying it brings up an ironic situation. They follow this half when they want. They follow the other half when they want. It's either the Constitution reigns supreme or it doesn't. That's my opinion. It should be a pretty black and white issue. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't with this Senate Majority Leader. If it's these three clowns, that's my opinion. I mean, people have been telling me all day long. Okay. Now, here's the deal. You guys can tell me I'm wrong. That's fine. I don't care really. But people have said, well, Senator Rick Scott's changed his ways. Maybe he has. Maybe he's watching my stream and I convinced him to. There's zero chance of that, though. That didn't happen. I don't know why it's still on his Senate website right now that he supports red flag laws. Good night. Have a good one. This is why where we are. Look at this guy right now in the comments. Look, my man, you're a little bit slow. I have an idea for you. Get on the short bus. Put it in reverse, okay? How do these people function, guys, in life? I just want to ask you guys a question here. They're on the internet. Nobody can Google anything. 2A EDU. Can you tell me what my state rep is? How do you put your socks on, people? Not most of you guys, just these random people that come in here. How do they put their socks on? How do they remember to breathe? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the How to Use the Internet EDU channel. Instead of typing in www.youtube.com, type in www.google.com or Brave or DuckDuckGo or anything. See, I don't use any of that. I'm using smoke signals to get all my information tonight. I already told you guys that. Who is my state representative in Michigan? And then you'll either click it with your mouse, touch your screen with your finger, or hit the enter key. It'll pop up Michigan House of Representatives. Enter your address. 11111. Okay, that's your address. Okay. Now, if you've just joined my stream an hour and 20 minutes into it, there's a thing on the bottom. You can either use your finger or use your whatever it is that you're inserting into that little teeny microphone jack on your phone. Use your finger, your whatever, and slide it across to the left, back to the beginning of the stream. Can you believe this? I'm an hour and 20 minutes into a stream. 2A EDU, get to the point. When are you going to talk about the gun control laws? This is exhausting. Some clown that comes in like an hour and 20 minutes in? Give me a break. And it's not just you. You're like the fifth person that's come in tonight. If you guys look on your screens, we're an hour and 20 minutes into the stream. The content of the stream's over. We're just talking right now. Within 4 minutes and 30 seconds, I started to read the name of the first House bill. Go to your favorite clickbait channel, all, and see who has a 60-second short on these bills. Oh, I don't know who. I'm just telling you guys so you know. No, I said Google if it's your state rep, who your state rep is. I also said I'm an hour and 22 minutes into a live stream. Okay? Rewind the tape. Play the whole thing backwards with the sound completely turned off. Go to his channel and see if he has the calendar item agenda for what's going on in Michigan tomorrow night. What's happening, Joe Emerson? This is why we're in the shape we're in, I think. Well, that's what I said earlier. Most should know if they voted. Now, on replay, the most common thing I'm going to get is 2A EDU. How do we find our state rep? Hold on. I just say Google because it's built into everyone's phone. I don't even like Google. I'm just forced to use Google because I'm on a Google product right now. YouTube is Google. All right. Okay, gather around, you people. I'm going to show you. 2A EDU's got a story to tell. Oh, this is funny. Okay. www. That's a period for some of the viewers. GOOGLE period COM. Michigan House of Representatives. The top search result says Michigan House of Representatives. Click on Michigan House of Representatives. Scroll down. That's that direction. Street address, right? 111 Dum Diddy Dum Dum Street, City Dum, zip code 11111. Put that in there and hit submit. Did you guys hear how they found? Did you hear that they found like 26,000 votes up in northwestern Michigan the other day? That is crazy. I'll put this in the chat for you guys. These are the bills. Let's see, 5450. There you go. These are the ones that I've been talking about tonight. These are Michigan House bills. And then I also talked about the Senate Majority Leader race, and it's just kind of one of those things. Notice I never said like which one. I mean, none of us get to vote on this, right? But which one you should encourage your senator to vote on. Probably a lot of you guys are probably, if I had to guess, probably going to want to have encourage your senator to vote for Rick Scott, you know? Because I truly mean what I said, just because it's 100% true. The Trump agenda has a mandate from the American people. Electoral college, popular vote. Trump's been a long-time red flag supporter. Rick Scott's a long-time red flag law supporter. That's part of the mandate. That's what the people want. Red flag laws are your thing. Red flag law guy might be your guy. Or maybe they won't pass red flag laws. I don't know. Maybe somebody's gotten in Trump's ear and now he doesn't support them anymore. I hope. I hope not. I never heard Trump on the campaign trail said he doesn't support red flag laws anymore, but maybe he doesn't. So I don't know. I just know it's a big thing right now online where people are all like, tell your senator to vote for this person or that person. I'm not sure who you should encourage your senator to vote for or not. I just thought it would be nice for people to know. And look, all of you guys aren't Second Amendment purists. All of you guys aren't single issue voters. I understand.